We'll start with Harinam Sankirtan, and then we can do that bhajan. Okay, so Swati Mataji, would you like to do the bhajan?
Prabhuji, I'm outside. I won't be able to do it today. I'm just listening.
Okay, Angel Mataji, would you like to?
Yeah, Angel wants to do it, Prabhuji.
Okay. You are familiar with the bhajan, no?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'll try.
Okay, so let's start with Kirtan. Okay, let me start. Rajiv Prabhu, follow. Hare Krishna, Rajiv Prabhu.
Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Okay, are you leading or was I leading and you are following?
I am following Prabhuji.
Acha,
Did I
okay,
see
but
you?
I have not even reached Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So let's start
Okay.
once again.
Okay. Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Prabhuji, the kartal is so dominating that I cannot hear your voice at all, actually.
Okay.
You'll have to keep the kartal slightly soft and away from the mic.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hari Nam Sankirtan Mahayagya ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Vaishnav Vrind ki Jai. Jai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari.
Okay, so Angel Mataji, are you ready?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, let's start.
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavana Shri Govinda
Okay.
Gopi.
One line at a time.
Okay, Prabhuji. So you are going to repeat afterward?
Yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji. Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavana
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya
Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohana
Shri Govinda Gopinatha
Nama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Adindi Jamuna Jaya Jaya जहाँ सब लीला कोइलो रसा सर्वरस सार किया भावे
Jai Shri Krishna Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai. All glories to Radha and Krishna and the divine forest of Vrindavan. All glories to the three presiding deities of Vrindavan, Shri Govind, Gopinath, Madan Mohan. All glories to Shamkund, Radhakund, Govardhan Hill and Yamuna River. All glories to the great forehead known as Mahavan, where Krishna and Balram displayed all of their childhood pastimes. All glories to Keshi Ghat, where Krishna killed the Keshi demon. All glories to the Vamsivat tree, where Krishna attracted all the gopis to come by playing his flute. Glories to all of the 12 forests of Vraj. At these places, the son of Nanda, Shri Krishna, performed all of his pastimes. All glories to Krishna's divine father and mother, Nanda and Yashoda. All glories to the cowherd boys headed by Sri Rama, the older brother of Srimati Radharani and Ananga Manjari. All glories to the cows and calves of Vraj. All glories to Radha's divine father and mother, Vishpanu and beautiful Kirtida. All glories to Purnamasi, the mother of Sandipani Muni, grandmother of Madhumangal and Nandimukhi, and beloved disciple of Devarshi Narad. All glories to the young cowherd maidens of Braj. All glories to Gopeshwar Mahadev, who resides in Vrindavan in order to protect the holy dham. All glories to Shri Krishna's funny Brahmana friend Madhumangal. All glories to Ramghat, where Lord Balram performed his Rasa dance. All glories to Lord Balram, the son of Rohini. All glories to all of the residents of Vrindavan. All glories to the wives of the proud Vedic Brahmanas. All glories to the wives of the Kalya serpent. Through pure devotion, they all obtained the lotus feet of Lord Govinda. All glories to the place where the Ras dance of Sri Krishna was performed. All glories to Radha and Shama. All glories to the divine Rasa dance, which is the most beautiful of all Lord Krishna's pastimes. All glories to the mellow of conjugal love, which is the most excellent of all rasas and is propagated in Braj by Sri Krishna in the form of divine Parikiya Bhav. Remembering the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda's consort, Sri Janava Devi, this very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna sings the Sankirtan of the holy name. Jai Shri Krishna Kaviraj Goswami ki, Jai Brajdham Mahimamrit ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai. Om Agyantivirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshuruminitam Nena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Kadadara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so let's start from where we stopped last time. I think it is 15th of June. Someone can share the screen.
I was just saying only host can share.
Yeah, I have enabled that share screening by others also. Yeah, thank you for the nice bhajan, Angel Mataji. Okay, so 15th of June,
Prabhuji,
Bahushira. Yeah,
Prabhuji, is it okay if I read first? I might just not be able to read later, that's why.
yeah, okay.
Okay, the Bahushira we have read, right? So now we have to go to the next one, right?
Yeah, next one. Yeah, correct. Yeah. Oh, did we finish? Bahushira? Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
it
Yeah,
was about
Dadi
Dadi
Bakshi
Bakshi
Prabhu.
Prabhu, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right, right. Yeah,
yeah. Arjun. Prabhupada had a dream about an excellent Kaviraj from Calcutta. This Kaviraj came to Vrindavan and was treating Prabhupada. He was Dheer, a sober practitioner, Brahminical and very reverential to Prabhupada. He was from the Sri Sampradaya and wore big white and red tilak. One day he said, at first I doubted that your Guru Maharaj was a Paramhamsa, but I have treated thousands of dying people, and in this condition, when there is no more muscle and fat to cushion the nerves from being pressed against the bone, usually people are in such agony that I have to administer morphine. However, your Guru Maharaj never manifests the slightest expression of pain. I also saw this in March, April in Bombay. At that time, Srila Prabhupada's whole jaw was swollen. When we get a toothache, we can't tolerate it. But Prabhupada tolerated it. We never saw any difference in his mannerisms, in his way of dealing with anyone, and he never complained. In fact, when the devotees were trying to induce him to take care of his body, Prabhupada wasn't agreeable. He transcended his body. It was very evident that Srila Prabhupada was a successful Ashtanga yogi, that he had totally transcended his bodily conception and was a true living saint.
yeah. So Prabhupada, by Krishna's mercy, uh, he had all the mystic potencies also. He displayed at different occasions, and this is one of them. So like that, we have also gone across many of Prabhupada's mystic potencies, which disciples have shared, and some other devotees also. So we can see how Prabhupada actually manifested these potencies according to need, time, place, circumstance. Yeah, so he was always transcendental. Okay, next.
Arjun. Arjun. In 1978, Yashodanandan Swami and I went to the Gurukul boys for the Magh Mela in Allahabad, and at that time we met Devraha Baba, an 800-year-old saint who lived in a house on stilts. Usually he never came down from his house because everyone tried to touch his feet. But when we went, he came down, and for almost 10 minutes he spoke in Sanskrit, glorifying Srila Prabhupada as a Shakti Avesh avatar. He was so old that even his eyebrows hung down in dreadlocks. He called some of his disciples who were 2, 3, and 400 years old. It was very significant how this great, highly respected saint of India wonderfully glorified Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, this is amazing. 800-year-old Baba. So, I mean, can you imagine? He's like elder to. I mean, he must have witnessed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes also because he's like 800-year-old. So, I mean, I do wonder that such kind of people also live till now. I mean, we have heard about someone living more than 100 years, but not as great as 800 years. So this is something which is, I mean, inconceivable. Yeah, so he was also glorifying Prabhupada.
Though Prabhuji, there is one personality, Mahavatar Babaji, who we have heard.
Maha
Mahavatar Babaji is one of his names.
Okay.
he belongs to he's a direct disciple of Agastya Muni. And
Oh.
he appears like a 14, 15-year-old boy. And he's been so since the last 2000 years. He was also the one who initiated Adi Shankaracharya into Kriya Yoga. And he exists even now. There's a lot of write-up about him from
Acha,
various
till now he's
gurus.
living?
Yeah, very much. He has been
Oh,
blessed
so
by Lord Kartikeya to be immortal. That means he will be appearing at that, just like that age only, and he will never age beyond that.
oh, so what is his age?
So his last 2000 years, he's appearing like a 14-year-old boy.
Okay, that's
And
great.
he's been
I've not
mentioned
heard
by
about
many,
it.
many gurus. Many gurus have mentioned from the Nath Panthis, especially he belongs to the Nath Panthi, the Guru Gorakhnath, Machinder Nath, Navnath. You know the Navnath? In
Yeah.
their scriptures, we will find his mention of him in their scriptures.
Oh,
What's
great.
his name again? Sorry.
Maha Avatar Babaji.
Acha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
In their Navnath scriptures, we will find him to be called as Guru Bhyo. They will chant his name as Om Guru Bhyo Namaha, something like that.
And where is he located?
His ashram is Prabhuji in Rani Khet, upwards of Rani Khet, but nobody can enter his ashram out of his own will. I mean, if he wants to give darshan, then he gives. Otherwise, we will never be able to find him on our own attempt. And he has given darshan to people all across the world because he doesn't need to travel conventionally the way we travel. So he has given darshan people to all over the world in different areas, depending upon their sincerity and how they are connected to the yoga, the path of yoga.
Okay, where is Rani Khet? Which state?
Uttarakhand.
Okay.
Badrinath section, the Badrinath area. In fact, when we go to Badrinath, on the way, we will find at many places these posters of 40 great saints of India. And there, in that 40 great saints, we will find Sant Kabir Das, we will find Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Sai Baba. All these saints will be listed there. There on the top, the first saint appearing in that list will be Mahavatar Babaji.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have seen
Prabhuji,
his picture?
They don't have a direct picture of his, but there are images made out of drawing. That is there. In fact,
okay, so
even
no one has taken his picture till now.
No, photograph only if he permits, photograph can be taken. Otherwise, it will never come. But in the Pujari's room, the Pujari of Badrinath temple, our Badrinath temple, his Pujari's room, in that Pujari's room, there is a photograph of Mahavatar Babaji. I read in a book recently. Yeah, he has a picture of him.
Yeah, there are some saints whose pictures you take, they will not come also in the photograph then. I mean, because of their mystic powers, they might not want to show themselves or like whatever.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting. All right. Okay, thank you for sharing that information.
Yes, sure. No problem.
Okay, next.
Pita. One by one, each boy came in. Hello?
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji?
I think, have you shared the content?
Yeah, Pita.
Yeah, but I'm not able to see that.
Right now, it is not there?
Can others see or what? I cannot see.
One. Is it there on the screen?
Yeah, I can see now.
I'm not able to see.
Angel also confirms she can see.
Yeah, now I can see.
Okay,
Okay.
should I continue?
Yeah.
Okay. Pita. One by one, each boy came in to meet Prabhupada, and when we were all there, Prabhupada said, "You all are gems. You are 100% engaged in devotional service. You are all brahmacharis, and you are selling my books. Thank you very much. Just do your level-headed best." I felt great relief when I heard this because I was under a lot of pressure on that party. The devotees pushed us hard and hyped us up to sell Prabhupada's books. But Prabhupada said, "Just do your level headed best." And the idea of level headed sunk into me. I thought, this is logical and spiritual. This is the truth. Prabhupada only wants our level headed best. One devotee asked, "Prabhupada, if we die on Sankirtan, will we go back home, back to Godhead?" Prabhupada said, "Whatever state the mind is in at the time of death, that state you will attain. If you think of Krishna and you die on Sankirtan, you go back to Godhead. If you don't think of him, then maybe not." Everyone in the room sighed. They hadn't gotten what they wanted. Then Prabhupada said, "But I promise you this. If you distribute my books until your dying day, Lord Chaitanya will personally come and take you back home, back to Godhead." Then all the
Jai Srila
devotees were
Prabhupada.
relieved. Ah,
Jai.
Yeah, so this is for sure that whoever will distribute Prabhupada books every day, daily, regulated on a regulated basis, Prabhupada has promised that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will personally come and pick that devotee up. So, yeah, it is very interesting to know that Prabhupada said different things at different times. Many times he straightforwardly said that, okay, like for example, there was one particular father or mother of a disciple, and Prabhupada, uh, he knew that that mother or father had passed away, and before passing away, um, the mother or father was talking to the son, and who is Prabhupada's disciple, and actually before uh, yeah, when the son became disciple of Prabhupada, when he came into Krishna consciousness, that time uh, I think probably it was the mother. So the mother was kind of antagonistic to the movement, and at the time of her passing away, she was asking her son that where is your Krishna now? I cannot see your Krishna. Where is he? So as soon as she mentioned that, she passed away. And this was informed to Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said that because she took the name of Krishna while passing away, she has gone back to Godhead. But now here we see that for Prabhupada disciples, when they are asking Prabhupada that if a devotee dies during Sankirtan, will he go back to Godhead or not? And then Prabhupada is saying that we don't know that. So if you remember Krishna, he will go. Otherwise, he will not go. And then Prabhupada is also making a promise that if you distribute his books every day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will personally come and pick up, right? So yeah, I mean, Prabhupada gave different answers at different times. But one thing you'll realize that on certain occasions, Prabhupada gave very Shastric responses. Shastric responses means, like for example, in the case of the disappearance of Jayanand Prabhu also, Prabhupada wrote in a letter that if he had any material desire, then he will have to come back. He will go to the heavenly planets, enjoy for a long time, and then he will come to the material world and he will take birth in the family of devotees or brahmanas, or he will take birth in aristocratic family. And in another letter, Prabhupada said that he has gone back to Vaikuntha. So Prabhupada gave encouraging answers, and as well as he also gave Shastric answers. So we see that remembering Krishna at the time of death is actually that principle is coming from the Bhagavad Gita, which is a Shastra. Okay, and then Prabhupada is saying that, okay, unless and until you have a tinge of material desire, you cannot go back to Godhead. That's also Shastric. Okay, so Prabhupada gave different answers at different times, and that's why it is not so easy to judge who will go back to Godhead. But in general, we understand that whoever is giving their life for Krishna in this life, like you can say, at least 75% of their life they have given to Krishna service, then I think they have a good amount of chance to go back to Godhead. High chance of going back to Godhead. If you remember in our last class, there was a discussion of how Prabhupada said that the Grihasthas, they have only 25% chance to go back to Godhead, right? We discussed elaborately on this in the last class. And then again, after some time, I think after a few articles, you will come across another article where Prabhupada said that the Grihasthas, they have 50% chance of going back to Godhead. So, you see how Prabhupada actually said so many things about going back to Godhead. How many times, he mentioned about just by doing Sankirtan, one can go back to Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will personally come. And then he also gave some Shastric answers. So, anyways, but one thing is there that we have Prabhupada's mercy. If we just give this life to Krishna, then we can go back to Godhead. Now, obviously, back to Godhead is not the ultimate goal, because any devotee who will become pure in his motives and desire, ultimate, or if a devotee will advance to the higher stages like Asakti, Bhav, Prem, then what they will desire is basically they will desire to please Srila Prabhupada, to please Krishna. That will be the only desire that they will have. And that's why they might not even ask Krishna to take them back to Godhead. They will just ask Krishna whatever is best for them or whatever will best please the Lord. So it may not be necessary that even advanced devotees, they may also come back. It's not necessary they will go back to Godhead. And as Prabhupada also said that Acharya never goes back to Godhead, and he will come to the material world again and again in order to give compassion to others, right? So any pure devotee will always desire to assist his spiritual master. And if the spiritual master wants to come to this material world and preach, then probably the disciple will also take birth and he will also keep preaching, right? Yeah, so going back to Godhead is the ideal effort we must put. I mean, that's the goal that we must have. But after kind of coming close to the goal, obviously we can understand one thing, that we want to please Prabhupada and we want to please Krishna. That is the efforts which is required to go back to Godhead. That means that we purify our devotional service that we do. We purify the entire process so that we can reach higher stages. And because once we advance in spiritual life, then only we can actually effectively preach. Okay, so the more we are advanced, the more effectively we can share and we can also bestow compassion to others. So in that sense, we want to advance, but that advancement is also not the goal. It also depends on Krishna's desire ultimately. Okay, so yeah, this is what we can actually understand from all these different responses by Prabhupada. Okay, so any question or comment on this? Okay, next.
Pita. Prabhupada told us that he wanted us all to be brahmacharis, to never marry. He said, if you all remain brahmachari, you'll have a 90% chance of going back home, back to Godhead. As soon as you marry, there's only a 50% chance. As soon as you marry, you must have an apartment, and then you must put up so many things inside. If you're a brahmachari, you can sleep under a tree.
Yeah, so this is the article which I was referring to, where Prabhupada says that Grihasthas, they have 50% chance. Earlier, Prabhupada said 25% chance. Yeah, this is true that Prabhupada actually wanted everyone to remain as brahmacharis, because by being a brahmachari, we get more chance, we get ample opportunity to be Krishna conscious, and at the same time also to render a lot of service. Okay, but by being grihastha, we are deprived of that. Okay, and mainly because we are entangled in the material world more and more, and we also get attached to material activities, and we also get attached to many material things. So that's why very difficult to focus our mind on Krishna. And there are so many problems also once we get married. So many responsibilities are there, so much anxiety is there. So it's very difficult to remember Krishna, and we will not get sufficient amount of chance to render service and also to be absorbed. I mean, grihastha definitely they may be able to read books, they may be able to chant also. In terms of quantity, they might be able to increase their rounds, they may be able to read books, they may be able to hear also, but it's very difficult to focus because there's a lot of distraction in grihastha ashram, because we are surrounded by a lot of materialistic people, and we are working also at the same time. Majority of the time is spent on working, right? So that will definitely have some adverse effect on the consciousness also. Whereas for a brahmachari and for sannyasis, their main concern is to spread Krishna consciousness, and so that's why they are like quite focused in that way. But now obviously it also depends on case to case. Like some grihasthas, maybe if they have received proper brahmachari training, if they have taken in birth in devotee families, then they will be able to absorb themselves while doing their duties also. They will be able to focus on Krishna, and they will be getting the taste also. They will have the taste right from the beginning. That's why this brahmachari ashram is so important, so critical actually. The first 25 years that we spend, how do we spend it? That's the most crucial aspect of our life, of spiritual life. That will help us for the rest of the life. Okay, how can we make advancement? That will completely depend on how much time we have spent in, how much quality time we have spent in Krishna consciousness in the first 25 years. So and obviously in the first 13 years or 14 years, whatever impressions you also develop, those same impressions are carried over throughout the rest of your life, right? In that way also it will influence your Krishna consciousness. So this training of brahmachari ashram is extremely crucial, and that's why Prabhupada also stressed so much on it. And he wanted that. So now even if someone takes grihastha ashram, but if they are very strong, they were very strong brahmachari years, and later if they get married, they will be very fixed in their Krishna consciousness. They have a good chance of having that kind of focus and attention. Otherwise, very difficult to advance in spiritual life. Yeah, and then obviously, see, the point is that when we are grihasthas, we are also earning, and we are spending majority of the time earning money, earning Lakshmi. So now that majority of the time can become service if we engage that Lakshmi into Krishna service. And according to ideal standard, 50% of our income should be offered to Krishna, which is definitely extremely rare in this particular day and generation. But as close as 50% if we do it, then we can say that, okay, we are doing effective service for Krishna. If we are only donating 5%, then definitely, I mean, one time Shivram Maharaj was mentioning in one of his podcasts that, and he was asked this question, that how do we as grihasthas judge our advancement in spiritual life? And Maharaj gave a wonderful answer. He said that this advancement is, I mean, a devotee can practically judge their advancement by relating how much they are donating Lakshmi for Krishna service, how much they are able to spend for Krishna service. So if you are being miserly, then definitely to the degree you contribute, to that degree you are also advanced. So there's a direct proportion between contribution as well as advancement. Okay, now obviously this is one of the factor, but it does not mean that someone who is contributing that much, 40-50%, is also very advanced. It does not mean like that, because there are also karmis who are donating that much amount, but they are not chanting the holy name, or they are not doing any kind of sadhana. So now their internal consciousness is actually very weak, and they are also materially very attached. Okay. So obviously it has to be internal as well as external factor to determine or to judge someone's spiritual advancement. But this is a practice and one's advancement in spiritual life also, that we don't just want to serve Krishna through our chanting and through our mind or senses, but we also want to serve Krishna through Lakshmi, tan man dhan, everything, not just tan and man, right? So that is complete. That's true love, because it should be complete. There should be no lacking, and that's why Prabhupada said that Krishna does not see what you are giving; he sees how much you hold back. Okay, and that is very important. And recently, I've shared one nice quotation by His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. It's connecting. It's quite related to this. Okay, one second. So here, some devotees asking to Maharaj that we are unable to use the money in service of God, what to do? So Maharaj says that if you have wealth and you don't use it in service of Krishna, then you will have to take all the karma that is involved in producing that wealth. Even if you drive your car for 1 minute on the road, you'll be killing so many insects. So to earn this wealth, we commit so many sins. Just like you pay income tax and then you don't have to worry. Similarly, if you give your money to Krishna, then you don't have to worry. But if you want to keep the money in your pocket, then Krishna says, okay, I will charge you full tax. And what is that tax? The bondage of birth and death. Nothing is karma free. All our activities are watched by sun god, moon god, and other demigods, so we cannot escape. Yeah, so this is what Shastra also says. If you want to get rid of karma, then obviously we have to engage that Lakshmi or activity in the service of Krishna, right? Yeah, so this is what we have to understand. See, that's why Prabhupada said that Grihasthas, they have 25% chance, they have 50% chance. Because he understood the mentality of Grihasthas, that as soon as we start earning Lakshmi, we use it for sense gratification. Okay, we start to develop our more and more attachments, or we try to uplift our facilities and all, comfort zone and all, but we don't spend so much for Krishna service. So obviously, that's a very practical way to judge someone's attachment to Krishna, right? Yeah, so this is a very important factor. Okay, so devotees, do you have any comment or question on this?
Prabhuji, for women, it is always advised that they get married only. So as such, like there is no chance for. I mean, there could be cases now, but even as per scriptures, they say that they should always, eventually, they do get married. So when it comes to, like, the Prabhupada saying he wanted us to be brahmacharis, this is applicable primarily only for the men, right?
Well, generally the Shastra record will be protected. So that is the essence of what Shastra is saying. And that's why women, during the time of birth, she should be protected by the father, and then later on by the husband, and then later on, if the husband is not there, then by the children. So a woman should always be, that is what the Shastra is saying. Now, this protection, if someone is able to give you, like for example, we have some devotee Matajis also in the movement who are alone and who have not married, but they are very advanced devotees, and they are doing wonderful services also. At the same time, they are very attached to Krishna. So what is actually the most important element is the attachment to Krishna. If a woman is right from the beginning, she is focused and attached to Krishna, she is completely blissful. Okay, and obviously that physical protection or physical, mental, emotional protection she may receive from someone. But what is most important, even if you have the protection, but if you don't have attachment towards Krishna, then you'll be distracted. So ultimately you'll have to get married. Okay. So you have to be very focused. You have to be very attached to Krishna in order to remain like that throughout your life. You have to be extremely determined and dedicated to Krishna. Yeah. So, but you have to show that kind of exceptional devotion also, which is quite rare, especially amongst the Matajis. See, another thing is that women generally, if they just assist their husband advance enough, and as we know, 50% of the credit is shared by the women also. So we have from the Shastra, we have example of uh, Kapila Dev, right? And so his father Kardama Muni and Devuti, Mother Devuti. So by Kardama Muni's devotion, just by assisting and serving Kardama Muni humbly with sweet words, she was able to completely satisfy Kardama Muni, and then she also got the benefit, 50% benefit of whatever devotional, whatever devotion Kardama Muni had. So that is what we understand from Shastra, that the wife will get 50%. And Prabhupada does make this point there, that even if the wife is not so devoted to Krishna, but just by assisting someone who has the devotion, she can also attain the same destination as the husband. Okay, so if a wife is humble and submissive to the husband, and the husband is a very advanced Vaishnav, then definitely the wife can also go back to Godhead. And Prabhupada also comments that generally women by nature, they are attached to the material world, attached to the material things. But if they get this opportunity to serve advanced Vaishnav, then they can also get that benefit. So now, so basically, see, now in Prabhupada's, like these are very theoretical things, and these are also specific things. Okay, but and these are long time back. You see that pastime happened in Swayambhuva Manu's period in Satyuga, right? So it's such a long time, long gap is there. In particular, this day and age, especially after Prabhupada's appearance, and then the way he spread Krishna consciousness, and uh, the way he has promoted the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with respect to time, place, circumstances. So if you get connected to any devotee, whether it is the Diksha Guru or the Siksha Guru, or to any advanced devotee, if you get connected, and if you faithfully serve that devotee, then also you will get a chance to go back to Godhead. So it's not necessary only husband. I mean, if they don't have husband, then what? Then obviously they have to serve the Guru. And obviously, if a woman is, I mean, there are instances, there are cases, if a woman is more advanced than husband, then what? Then Prabhupada also said that the husband can take guidance from the woman also, or the wife. Okay, so it all depends on the level of advancement. If someone is more advanced, then you approach that person, you serve submissively, and they will guide you to elevate yourself in spiritual life. So this is the principle. So there is no restriction in terms of time, place, circumstance when it comes to practicing Krishna consciousness. This is the greatest mercy of Srila Prabhupada, that he has actually made things very practical for us, and he has given a wide congregation of devotees where you can be connected to so many devotees. I mean, you have an option to get connected to so many devotees. Obviously, we don't get connected to so many devotees, but we have an option to choose amongst them, and then we finally submit to them, and then we can advance in the spiritual life. So this opportunity is equally available for everyone. Okay, and at the same time, we also say that everyone has the equal opportunity to go back to Godhead. It is not that only brahmacharis or sannyasis will go back to Godhead. The principle is that whoever is more Krishna conscious, they will go back to Godhead. It does not matter whether he's a woman or animal or man or whatever. Okay, so that is the most important principle.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yeah, and then obviously, we also see that how Devahuti, she got the association of Kapila Dev by the blessings of Kardama Muni, she Kapila Dev. And because of Kapila Dev's association, and obviously Kardama Muni left her, and then she was protected by her son, Kapila Dev. And then Kapila Dev guided her, instructed her in the science of Krishna consciousness. So the principle is that it does not matter who is who. In a relationship, it does not matter. A wife may be more advanced than the husband also. And so the husband can actually take the association of the wife. And husband may also get the 50% credit of the advancement of the wife. So it is not that it is just one way. If the husband and wife both are sincere devotees, both are advanced devotees, then both will share each other's credit. Okay. The wife can also give that credit to the husband. I mean, for a simple fact that because you are connected to a devotee. See, there is a principle of being connected with a devotee. Lava matra sadhu sang sarva siddhi hoy. So if you are connected with some advanced Vaishnava, it does not matter the relationship, whatever it is, that person will get the benefit. So whether it is husband, wife, daughter, whoever it is, if they are advanced, you take their association. That's it. Simple principle. In fact, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Lila also, we know this. So Raghunandan Thakur, right? He was the son of Mukunda. And one time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Mukunda, so who is the father? You or Raghunandan? Mukunda replied that Raghunandan is the father. And then he asked Mukunda that why you say that Raghunandan is your father? Then Mukunda said that to Gopinath is so intense that he's teaching me how to serve Krishna. He's inspiring me how to serve Krishna. And that's why he's actually my father. Okay, so there is no barrier in terms of externalities of, of different genders. There is no barrier for that. Anyone who is advanced, take their association and you can benefit. Okay, so any other comment or question on this? One thing is there that Prabhupada gave equal opportunity for men and women to advance in spiritual life. When there was, when husband and wife, the devotees, when they had broken that relationship, Prabhupada always encouraged the woman and husband, the wife and the husband to live alone and not to get into another relationship because he knew the nature of this world. And he knew that if we get married again, there are more complications. And unnecessarily, you will just waste time. Okay, a lot of time. Instead of that, you can give your heart to Krishna, you can be more attached to Krishna, and there is no need to getting married second time. Okay, so Prabhupada was very practical and he was the highest purpose. Always give the highest principle to us, which is in any circumstance, wherever you are, just be Krishna conscious, just try to advance in spiritual life. Okay, next.
Prabhuji, is it okay if someone else can read now?
Yeah. Okay, so who would like to continue? Swati Mataji, would you like to continue? I think, okay, you are outside, right? So, Angel Mataji, would you like to continue?
Yes, Prabhuji. Sarvabhaum. At first, I found some of the management policies regarding the restaurant, the guest house, and the cooking a little strange. But later on, I understood, for example, in Vrindavan, Prabhupada wanted 3 separate small kitchens, each with a little mud-caked oven that burns wood or coal. Prabhupada said, I don't want your life members to go outside to drink tea. If they want it, let them brew their where did it go? Let them brew their tea here. Provide this facility. So we made 3 small cubicles where life members could make tea for themselves. Initially, you might think that tea is an Tea is an intoxicant that devotees are not supposed to take. And here Prabhupada is providing tea facilities for guests and life members. I asked Prabhupada, sometimes fanatic devotees say, how can you do that? He said, when a guest comes to your house, then you try to fulfill all his wishes as long as it doesn't involve sinful activities. We may not drink tea because that is part of sadhana and because drinking tea is in the mode of ignorance, but it's not sinful. There is no harm if you provide facilities for guests to make their own tea.
Yeah, yeah. So this is something which is adjusted according to time, place, circumstance, and that's why we see in Govindas also in ISKCON temples. Sometimes uh, they have tea in their stalls, and then we also serve non-Ekadashi prasadam to outsiders at the time of Ekadashi. So we see this in Govindas, right? But this is just to see, anyway, the materialistic person will go and have tea, right? So why not give him a chance to live in the temple and at the same time, like for example, even if you want to send laborers to work in the temple, the problem is that they are not allowed to do certain things. Like for example, smoking is not allowed, right? And then intoxication is also not allowed, like drinking and smoking. So now, if laborers are habituated to these activities, then they will not go there. So now these things are sinful activities, drinking and smoking and all that, because it will intoxicate your mind, and that's a form of sinful activity. So if you allow them, then they will be involved in getting karma. But if you give them some flexibility, like for example, if you provide them some other means or some other kind of factor which may attract them, then they will be able to stay there. Okay, and they will be able to work also. Or sometimes you want to develop a temple in a place where absolutely there is no facility of smoking, like for example in Govardhan Eco Village. So Govardhan Eco Village is far out. Okay, and so certain times we have to make some adjustment in the principles. We cannot expect that everyone will be following these 4 regulative principles, right? Now generally laborers, they are addicted to smoking. Okay, and especially when they are in isolated area, they would like to do, because in the range of few kilometers nothing is available outside, so they have to stay at one place and they have to finish the work at one place for a long time. And that's why certain adjustments will be made, because then you will not get a lot of laborers to work and you will not be able to accomplish your task, not be able to finish on time. So then sometimes you may allow them to do certain things. Okay, yeah, so these are all seen in the uh, higher principle rather than focusing on each and every regulative principle. And then obviously we also know that uh, to like have onion garlic, now that is also in the mode of passion ignorance. So probably that might not be sinful, but still it is not recommended for devotees or practicing spiritual life. Okay, now obviously maybe there are certain things about onion garlic which devotees say that it is the origin of onion garlic is cow flesh or something. I think I've read something like that. So if that is the case, then maybe that's sinful also. But things like these, for example, eating chocolates or some other things, it's not necessarily like for example, Prabhupada said that to have sex with one's wife, okay, that's not sinful as such, but at the same time it is not favorable for one's spiritual advancement, so one should refrain from it altogether. Try to refrain as much as possible, and that's why Shastra recommends that to have sex only when we want to procreate. Okay, uh, then if that is the only reason why we are having sex life, then um, we can go ahead, but otherwise generally it is not recommended, especially when we want to advance in spiritual life. So like that, these things are there which can be adjusted according to time, place, circumstance. So any devotee, they have any comment or question? Okay, next.
Okay. Chandramouli Swami. Before the class, Ambarish Das, a new Vrindavan cowherd boy, led Guru Puja. When he finished singing, Pushti Krishna Maharaj, Prabhupada's servant, picked up the mridang and started to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We wondered why he did that because it seemed like Ambarish had already ended the kirtan. Later we learned that Srila Prabhupada never liked to be worshipped without Krishna also being worshipped in the same kirtan. In other words, even in his Guru Puja kirtans, we had to chant Hare Krishna because Prabhupada felt that worship of the spiritual master must include worship of Krishna. This experience taught us something important.
Yes. So this is also one of the reasons why we have the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and how Guru and Krishna both simultaneously have to be worshipped. Yeah, so Prabhupada, as a guru, he gave Krishna, and Krishna also, he sent Prabhupada as a guru, right? So simultaneously, Guru and Krishna. Okay, next.
Sarvabhaum. Regarding translating,
Okay,
Prabhupada gave...
I am not able to see that on the screen. Rajiv Prabhu, can you scroll it down? Okay, yeah.
Sarvabhaum. Sarva Bhavana. Regarding translating, Prabhupada gave me some wonderful instructions that I treasure and try to follow. He told me there are two ways of translating. One is literal and the other is bhavat, to capture the spirit, to convey the deep spiritual and devotional mood of the Acharya who wrote the original work. Prabhupada said, I prefer bhavat, to translate the spirit and mood of these writings rather than to translate literally. I want you to read the original Bengali or Sanskrit or Hindi, understand it, formulate it in your own words and write it.
Yeah, this is so important. In fact, we see throughout in his translations, Srila Prabhupada has given this principle of bhavat. If we read Prabhupada's translations, very clear that Prabhupada didn't translate each and every word as it may seem. Okay, but he has given the bhavarth. In fact, not just the bhavarth, the essence of the meaning, but he has given the highest level of meaning of that word. Okay, like for example, wherever Dev is there, he has translated as Krishna, and wherever like for example, today only I just came across a translation of Prabhupada in the 7th canto. This is the 5th chapter, I think, where it is mentioned that one should stay in one or forest, and Prabhupada translated as, one can stay in Vrindavan Dham, like that. So Prabhupada has connected everything to the highest form of devotion. He has connected to Krishna, he's connected on Dham. Wherever the Dham is there, he's connected to Vrindavan. Even though Vrindavan is not actually present in that sloka itself, but Prabhupada has connected everything with the highest form of worship of the Lord. So this is Prabhupada's bhavarth along with the highest manifestation of that. It's very interesting. Okay, yeah, next.
Pitta. One time when he was speaking from Vyasasana, Prabhupada said, don't use this philosophy like a knife. This philosophy is very strong and you can use it like a knife and you can cut with it. Another time Prabhupada said, jumping, jumping, jumping just like a monkey over the head of your spiritual master. You have all become monkeys in Vrindavan for deviating from the order of the spiritual master.
Yeah, so especially for the Sanskrit scholars, They have to be careful not to go above Srila Prabhupada, and not to think that Prabhupada was ordinary. Okay, so this is a very big caution for all of them. And obviously for any devotee who is trying to understand philosophy on their own, using their own intelligence. So Prabhupada said it is like a knife you can cut, you know, and then obviously we cannot jump. We have to systematically study and understand. And with time, these things are revealed to us. So it is not a matter, not a question of jumping. Everything is revealed to us at the appropriate time, and we must have patience also. Actually, yeah, in my realization, and other senior devotee realization also, experiences, what we observe is that devotees, sometimes they jump from one book to another book, and they do not follow what is recommended to them. Because of this, it's very difficult to understand something, and it is also difficult to advance in spiritual life, because we don't have blessings of our Gurujan, we don't have blessings of senior devotees, and the revelation of Shastra can only be possible if we have the blessings of our Gurujan and senior devotees. Okay. Without that, there is no question of understanding Shastra, there is no question of realization. Everything is theoretical. And what happens because of this? Devotees, if they do not have patience, if they do not have faith in the spiritual master's instruction, then what they will do is they will keep hearing from different people just because they would like to hear certain topics. Okay, and they will keep jumping from one book to another book, or from one devotee to another devotee. Ultimately, what will happen is they will not be focused. They will not follow anything properly, because you cannot expect that you will hear from 10 different people and follow all of them, because everyone is different, and whatever they emphasize also is different from one devotee to another devotee. So ultimately we have to regulate ourselves in that way, and advancement and realization only comes when we serve, when we are doing some service. So if there is no service, then we cannot expect the theoretical knowledge to be realized. It's not possible. So without practical service of theoretical knowledge. Okay, that's why Prabhupada had given us so many services in ISKCON. And if we are inclined to one particular service, then we should make it our life and soul. And then we can cultivate the service. And along with that, so basically there is a procedure, there's a standard. The standard is that you have a sadhana, you have a fixed sadhana, and you also have a seva. So do it together. With time, a lot of realizations will come, revelations will come, and you'll also make advancement. Okay, this is the right approach. But if you are not serving properly, if you don't have proper guidance, then you are on your own. Then you will be jumping from one place to another place. So the tendency of hearing something immediately, actually that is not the right approach, because along with Utsaha, Nishchaya, we should also have Dhairyat. And Rup Goswami highly recommends this in the Nectar of Instruction, Updeshamrit. The patience is actually the most important factor in spiritual life. Devotees may have a lot of enthusiasm to hear about Krishna, to chant the holy name, to serve also. But if they are not patient, then what will happen is they will lack the faith in their spiritual master and in the process, because they want results immediately, or they would like to know things immediately. Now, one thing is that there is a factor of endeavor in spiritual life where you put efforts to know something. Okay, but at the same time, it is not necessary that whatever you would like to know, it will come immediately to you. Krishna has his own plans, and he will probably reveal to you in a different way, or maybe he would like to undergo an experience. He would like to purify you, and then he will reveal to you certain things. Okay, so Krishna has his own timing of revealing certain things. And so we have to make sure that we are balanced in this approach. that we want to know something. At the same time, we are also serving. Okay, and through that the revelation is coming. So and then obviously, like for example, you may also get to know certain things, but at that particular level you may not be able to understand completely, or you may not, it probably might disturb you. Okay, but once you advance sufficiently, then when that revelation comes, or then actually you realize that this particular knowledge that you have is something that I can relate to now and I can understand completely. Okay, so that time you will be satisfied, because now you have realized that knowledge. Okay, like for example, when I came in Krishna consciousness, so right from the beginning, I had a habit of reading books. So I read many books. In fact, I finished all Prabhupada's small books first. Then I also read Bhagavad Gita twice. And then so later on, I came across a book which was which had confidential Lilas of Radha and Krishna. So I just felt that, okay, let me read it, let me go through it. And I started reading. And just after reading a few pages, I immediately closed that book. And I gave up, because I couldn't understand anything, what is happening. Okay, and why they are behaving like this. I couldn't understand. And similarly, one time I also happened to read the Brahma Samhita, and the English is so complicated that obviously I could not understand the meaning of whatever is given there. The purport I was not able to understand, because if you want to understand something, you must have background of something, right? If you want to understand calculus, you must be able to understand what is derivative and what is integration. If you are not able to digest that, then obviously you cannot expect that you will know calculus. So similarly, there are certain books that we must read first in order for us to prepare some kind of foundation or background. And then later on, and see, all these things are accompanied by service. So you read, you attain knowledge, you also serve, then you advance in spiritual life, and by mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by mercy of Guru, revelation will come. That knowledge will destroy your doubt or your inquiry. It will destroy it, and then you move ahead, and then again do the same thing. So you continue that process, and finally you will understand many things in spiritual life. So, right. So till that point of time, it is of no use to jump to another book. So unless and until you know you have a system, you have a procedure, you cannot proceed ahead. You cannot jump like that. Okay, so this is very important. In fact, I would, I'm thinking of sharing one schedule for devotees, which they can follow, like, especially for Grihastha devotees, what all they are supposed to do in how much amount of time. So I would like to share that schedule based on what we have heard from seniors and according to my experience also. So maybe after a few weeks, I will share that in Purushottam Mass. So see, it is very interesting to note one thing. I just recently heard His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, his interview to Parijat Mataji, which was organized by the GBC strategic planning team. And you know what Mataji asked him? Mataji asked him that, Maharaj, what do you think is the standard required for devotees in ISKCON to follow? What particular standard devotees in ISKCON should follow so that they can advance in spiritual life? And Maharaj said that the standard is already given by Prabhupada. Prabhupada has given you, if you just follow Prabhupada, then you will attain everything. But Maharaj made a very important point. He said, my experience and realization is that you shouldn't focus too much on the quantity. After a while, the devotees should start focusing on the quality. If they focus on the quality, then everything will come automatically. So Maharaj was not even emphasizing or promoting to increase quantity. So, many devotees feel that by chanting 32 rounds, 64 rounds every day or on some specific days or some festival day, that they will be able to make a lot of advancement. Okay, or by reading a lot, or by hearing a lot, or by serving a lot. No, it is not quality. It is not quantity. It is quality. Ultimately, after a period of time, we start realizing that more important than the quantity is the quality. Why? Because the essence of devotion lies within the quality. It is not the quantity, right? The way you perform bhakti, devotional service, that is the most important. Okay, and whatever quantity that we are talking about, it is all internal. It is, we have to, this is something that we have to internalize. Okay, internalize in the sense that, okay, there is no restriction at all for any limbs of sadhana. Okay, you can keep serving the deities in the mind 24 hours a day. You can keep chanting the holy name 24 hours a day. You can keep hearing 24 hours a day internally. Okay, you can always remember the Lord 24 hours a day. There is no restriction on that. So in terms of quantity, it is more of internal cultivation. But we have to seek the essence of, and that is quality. So the more we focus on quality, the more we can actually make advancement in spiritual life. And over a period of time, we also realize how far we are away from being a devotee, right? Because we understand that we have so many anarthas. We are not free from lust, anger, envy, pride, right? As far as we have ego, to that degree, we can actually not advance in spiritual life. So the most important thing for a devotee is that they will focus on how to get rid of the ego, how to get rid of all these anarthas. Okay, and that means they are focusing on the quality, not on the quantity as such. Okay, uh, yeah. So I mean, we are speaking in terms of limited time. We don't have unlimited time in the material world. We have limited time, 24 hours only. Okay, and in order to utilize 24 hours, it is best to have strong sadhana, but to spend maximum time in seva. Most of the time should go in seva, not just in theoretical sadhana. Okay. Obviously, strong sadhana means we don't do the minimum. We do extra than the minimum. But at the same time, we must have seva also, sufficient seva. And obviously not such a intense seva that we get we get depressed out of that. Okay, or we get burned out because of the seva. Okay, so we have to balance everything properly. A balanced approach is what actually Prabhupada recommended strongly in spiritual life, which is sadhana and which is seva going together. Okay, and obviously health comes first. So this is something that we have to understand very thoroughly. Okay, and so I would say that, okay, it is more important to follow the guru or the devotees than to increase the quantity of sadhana on your own. Okay, because by satisfying master, we please Krishna, we gain the mercy of the guru also. So like, and then by following the instructions of guru, we are directly trying to please Krishna, and we are also trying to do what the Lord wants us to do. So there is no question, there is no confusion about what the Lord would want. Okay, but if we try to do something on our own, increase something on our own, then we will always have this question that, okay, is this going to be pleasing to Krishna? See, we are not pure devotees. We have not reached a level of bhava or prema, right? So unless and until we are reaching that stage where Krishna is personally within, we cannot actually confirm that whatever we are doing is pleasing to Krishna or not. That's why the best thing is to follow the instructions of some devotee and please them, serve them. And that should be the goal. That will actually bring quality in our devotional practices. So this is very important. Okay, so any question or comment on this?
No.
Yeah. So every devotee should focus on this thing. Okay. All right, next.
Pita. In the middle of a class, Prabhupada began a sentence and I realized that he was going to say something grammatically incorrect. I thought, just see, he's a perfect master, yet he's going to say something grammatically incorrect. Prabhupada stopped speaking, looked right at me, even though there were 300 people in the room, looked back up and said the whole sentence perfectly, then looked at me and nodded his head. I melted into the floor and thought, that couldn't have happened. I hope he didn't know what I was thinking. It was amazing. Then I thought, wow, Prabhupada is the perfect master. He really knows.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is one of the experiences where a disciple is um, having a direct experience of Prabhupada not committing any grammatical error. But then obviously there are examples in Prabhupada teachings, Prabhupada writings, where he does make some kind of error, grammatical error. So we do understand that Prabhupada instructed devotees according to the time, place, circumstance. He displayed his potency. Yeah, next.
I think it will come on 18th June.
Yeah, I mean, whichever is next.
Chandramauli Swami. Prabhupada said that out of the four bodily activities, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, the most dangerous one for a devotee is oversleeping because it leads to the others. He said, first of all, if you sleep too much, you are wasting that should be used for Krishna's service. And secondly, too much sleep enhances the attraction for eating and mating. That shocked me. I thought another one of the bodily activities was the most dangerous.
Yeah. So generally we think that illicit sex is the most dangerous type of sinful activity, but here Prabhupada said, yeah, this is I've heard this also earlier, that oversleeping, I think it is mentioned in the Lila Amrit probably, that oversleeping is actually even greater than illicit sex, because just like, for example, inattentive chanting is the cause of all the other offenses. So similarly, oversleeping also, you can say that it is cause of other sinful activities. Okay, next.
Pita. In Vrindavan, Prabhupada commented about the atmosphere and the birds, and when he heard the Arati ceremony, he said, the highest service that a human being can perform is to be a pujari, because although the pujari has a material body, the pujari serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The pujari wakes the Lord up, bathes, dresses, and feeds him. These are activities of the spiritual world, but the pujari does them in this world. This is the perfection of human life. There is nothing higher than being a pujari. My god brothers had always told me that the highest service was distributing books, but Prabhupada said that on the absolute platform of the highest service is to serve Krishna eternally, and being a pujari is a way to do that. If you are a pujari, you have attained your constitutional position even within samsara. Prabhupada said the person is liberated.
So this is the glories of deity worship. Now to understand, see, now Prabhupada wrote different things at different occasions. So one time, many times Prabhupada said that deity worship is second class, okay, and preaching is first class, and always emphasize book distribution. But so now here we see that Prabhupada is saying that pujari is the highest service. So we have to also understand in the context that um, just by being a pujari, just by offering, just being a sincere pujari, one can actually go back to God also in this life. Why? Because as Prabhupada mentions that the pujari realizes his constitutional position as a servant of Krishna in the sense that he has realized his relationship with the Lord. Okay, and he's also directly serving the Lord. So if a pujari is thoroughly conscious of serving Krishna and he's worshipping without offenses, then in this lifetime he can actually go back to Godhead. Okay, see, that is the reason being a pujari or having deities and worshipping the deities, it is so important, extremely important. Why? Because it is so personal. Um, it is so personal, and it will improve everything else also. It will improve your relationship with the Lord. It will improve chanting of the holy name also. It will give a lot of taste to the chanting of holy names. And it will become more personal also. And you will constantly be absorbed in serving the Lord. You'll always think about the Lord and the form of the Lord. So see, this is very important actually. In fact, I would say that every devotee, they must chant in front of deities, especially for at least minimum for 5 to 10 years. And after that, wherever you go, when you chant the holy name, at least the name will accompany itself with the form, which means that because you see the deities constantly every day, whenever you chant the holy name, the first thing that will come to your mind is the deity's form. Okay, and because of this, the attention and focus is also there. The attention in the holy name is also there. And I mean, this is something I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur suggested somewhere. I don't remember. It is Harinam Chintamani or some other book. But it is, it's very crucial, very important to chant in front of deities. Very potent, very powerful. And when you chant in front of deities for a long time, then the name also reveals the form of the Lord. Okay. So this is most crucial aspect of our Krishna consciousness, that deity worship. In fact, today only I have shared one letter where Prabhupada says that deity worship is also equivalent to other limbs of bhakti, especially Shravanam, Kirtanam. But then Prabhupada also says that deity worship should be accompanied along with Shravanam, Kirtanam. And this is so important because unless and until you hear and chant, your deity worship will be on a material platform. Okay. So, especially in Kali Yuga, chanting the holy name is the most important limb, and it should be assisted with everything. Whatever limb of bhakti we are doing, it should always be assisted with chanting the holy name. Okay, but chanting the holy name will have effect, or you can go deep into the chanting of the holy names when you have sufficiently served the deities of the Lord. Okay, the deity manifestation of the Lord, because it is very personal. You can experience that. So just by being a pujari, we can actually go back to Godhead in this life. Yeah. So when Prabhupada said that pujari is second class and the preacher is first class, so what Prabhupada said is that for the kanishtas, being pujari or deity worship is actually second class for the kanishtas. But the deity worship is done by Uttama also, is done by Madhyama also, and by Kanishta also. When a Kanishta is worshipping deities, he's only seeing the Lord in the temple. That's why Prabhupada said that it is second class. Okay. But when a Madhyama is worshipping the deity or Uttama is worshipping the deity, he's seeing Krishna face to face directly, especially Uttama. Okay. And he's serving the Lord with that consciousness that he's actually present there. And at the same time, the Uttama also sees the Lord in everyone's heart. That's the difference between a Kanishta and Uttama. Okay. So, yeah, with reference to different contexts, Prabhupada said different things. And here it means that someone, if they are sincerely worshipping the deity form of the Lord with proper consciousness and free from offenses, then they immediately realize their relationship with the Lord and they will go back to Godhead, because they are serving the Lord in that way since a long time. Okay, any question or comment on this?
Prabhuji, in the temple, generally during the chanting time, those 2 hours, the chanting is done in such a way that at that time the deities are being dressed. So, I mean, a lot of like, especially the resident devotees or someone, they, if they are into a lot of other activities, then they might not get a chance only to so much chant in front of the deities. So, what about
Yeah.
them?
Yeah, so see, the standard is, as according to Prabhupada also and according to Shastra also, Brahma Muhurta is the best time to chant the holy name. But I would recommend, very strongly recommend that if Brahma Muhurta they can chant, that is the best thing, that's the best time. But they chant in front of deities. And if you are in the temple, then obviously you don't have any option. Either you can chant in the association of devotees, or you can, if you have your room, private room, and if you have your deities, then maybe, and if you are allowed, then you can go and chant in your room in front of deities. Okay, and if you are in temple, you don't have that option, then obviously you have to chant along with the devotees. So one recommendation is that chant in front of Tulsi Maharani. Okay, now see, chanting in front of deities, uh, the problem with this is that it is meant for, especially meant for grihasthas. I mean, I would say that this may apply to grihasthas more, because grihasthas, they are not living in the temple, and grihasthas are supposed to have deities. Okay, uh, so when grihasthas are living in their house, and if they get up Brahma Muhurta, then that is the best time to chant in front of deities. Focus fully on the deities that time. Okay, so it's not necessary that the deity should be in the temple, but it can be in the house also. And if you love a particular deity form in the temple, like for example, Radha Rasbihari, Radha Madan Mohan, or Radha Giridhari. So what you do is you take a picture of that, a high resolution picture, and you put in the altar, whichever form attracts you the most. It may be the Vrindavan Radha Shyamsundar also. It may be any other form also. So you what you can do is you can make a you can get a high resolution printout of that, and you can frame it, and you can keep in the altar, and then chant in front of the deities and the picture. Okay, so that is extremely effective. Uh, yeah, and that will bring your mind in focus, even if the mind is diverting from time to time. Just because you are in front of deities, immediately your mind will come back to the holy name after some time. Okay. Now, obviously, what to speak of chanting in the temple with your favorite deities? That is ultimate, and that too in Brahma Muhurta, which is, I think, not possible, because Brahma Muhurta, every temple, ISKCON temple is closed. Okay, but I will tell you one thing, that personally, this is my personal realization. I would prefer to chant in front of deities than to chant in the time of Brahma Muhurta, if given an option. Okay, because for me, chanting in front of deities, that is the ultimate experience. Okay, and Brahma Muhurta, definitely the mind is very attentive, but it also depends on how much you have slept the last night, or are you able to sustain for a long time while chanting the holy name. One thing I have noticed is, there have been days where I've slept only for 2 hours or 3 hours. Okay, but when I've gone to temple, I've never slept, because I'm chanting in front of deities. Not a single moment I've slept in the temple. Okay, but if I do it in the house during Brahma Muhurta, I'm pretty sure that I will be dozing off. Okay, but when in front of deities, there is no question of stopping. So automatically you can chant the holy name. It's so powerful. Okay, so I mean, you may have Giriraj deities, Giriraj Shila. I mean, that's obviously something which is special. Someone has to give you that. Shaligram Shila, Giriraj Shila, all these are, but you have got Nitai deities, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, or you can put the picture of Giriraj, put the picture of the Dham. Now another important aspect, which will also help us to connect with the holy name strongly, is to actually go deep in the Dham Tattva. Go deep, I mean, develop your relationship with the Dham. Get attached to the Dham. So the Dham mercy, the deity mercy, And then what is also important is to hear about Krishna's pastimes, to hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So that's why Prabhupada said that, okay, before going to bed, hear about Krishna, like read every day from Krishna book. So when you read Krishna book, the next day when you wake up and when you chant the holy name, you'll start remembering the pastimes of Krishna, what you have read the previous day. Okay. So all these things are very crucial. So you cannot separate chanting the holy name with other things. They are all helping us uh, in a holistic way. So now, obviously, if you are very advanced Vaishnav, then wherever you go, you'll be able to chant the holy name. You'll be able to remember the Lord and all that. But obviously, because we are not advanced so much, so we require the help of these things initially, and then later on, we relish these things. It's not that we don't require those things, but we begin relishing, and then obviously we'll also see how the name of Krishna will also lead us to the Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, like that. Okay, one aspect will lead to another aspect. A sequence. It's all sequential. The chant the holy name, you remember the form of the Lord. As soon as you remember form of the Lord, you start appreciating the qualities of the Lord. As soon as you start appreciating qualities, the Leelas will come to your mind, because qualities are manifested by the Leelas, right? So the qualities will lead you to the Leela, and then you start remembering the Leelas. So in one letter, Prabhupada said that these things are all natural. You don't have to force yourself. Okay, but this is the ideal circumstance that the name should lead to the Leela of the Lord. You should try to get absorbed in the Leela of the Lord as much as possible. Okay, but it cannot be done artificially. It should come naturally. And the way to do is you chant with attention. You hear the holy name. That's the first priority in the beginning stage. And at the same time, Shravanam, what you do. See, that's why Shravanam and then Kirtanam. You cannot chant, you cannot preach unless you have sufficiently heard. So Shravanam leads to Kirtanam, and then when you have Shravanam and Kirtanam, that will lead to remembrance automatically. That remembers, obviously, it will come in different stages. There are different stages of remembrances. That's Smaranam. Okay, but that Shravanam, the deity worship, all these things will help you to focus on the holy name, to chant the holy name, to bring you back to the holy name whenever you are diverted. Okay, and especially when you chant in front of deities, you are also connected to the parampara. You can also take darshan of the parampara. You also have Tulsi Maharani in the altar. Then you also have Giriraj Shila. You have Shaligram Shila. You have the associates of the Lord, Lalita Vishaka, in front of you. What more do you want? So definitely, chanting in front of deities is actually the most inspiring for me. Yeah, but this is the thing, that if you are not in the temple, you are in the house, have deities and serve the deities regularly, chant in front of them. In fact, the deities also become pleased. That's also a service to the deity, to do Harinam Sankirtan. Kirtan is such an important aspect. Unless and until we have taste for Kirtan, we'll not have taste for the holy name or Japa. And unless we have strong Japa, we'll not have taste for the Kirtan also. So these things are all connected to each other. Okay. So the deities are pleased by chanting and preaching. And if you are doing these things, then we'll also get taste for the holy name. So we can chant as much as possible, and there is no restriction. Also, we can always chant internally in the mind, and externally we can perform our seva also, and focus on the quality. Okay, so any other question or comment?
No.
Okay, all right. So maybe we can cover this last one article, and then we can. What is the time?
11.
Okay, yeah, we can cover last article. Okay, yeah.
Pita. Although it was devastating when you first saw Prabhupada's deteriorated physical condition, after you were with him for a while, you got used to it. When devotees saw him in that condition for the first time, they'd cry. And we'd all start crying, seeing those devotees crying. At one point, Prabhupada said, "Why are you all crying?" We said, "Srila Prabhupada, we are crying because you are so sick and we are afraid that you may leave." Prabhupada said, "I will never leave you. I live forever in my books, so there's no reason to cry. Old people die, that is natural. When a young person dies, there's some mistake because a young person should live until he is old. When he is old, he should die. For me, it's a natural thing, so don't cry." One devotee said, "But Srila Prabhupada, we are crying because we can't be without you. And when you leave, we won't know how to communicate with you." Prabhupada said, "I will communicate with you through your heart. I will come to you in your dreams. I will communicate with you through dreams
Yeah.
as Chaitya Guru." I found that controversial because I thought my god brothers wouldn't have approved, but Prabhupada said it, that he would communicate with us through dreams. At times, Prabhupada would say, "You all have very good mothers. Yes, all you boys have very good mothers." We said, "But our mothers are meat eaters." Prabhupada said, "The quality of the son comes from the mother. You are all good devotees, so I know that you have good mothers." Prabhupada complimented us. Prabhupada also said, "My Guru Maharaj left his body out of disgust. His disciples had not followed his order. But I am not disgusted with you. I am satisfied and pleased with my disciples. Never think that I am not happy with you. And I am happy to have your association. You are good association because Prabhupada trained us in Krishna consciousness. He saw us as good association."
Wonderful. So, yeah, Prabhupada coming in the form of dreams. Prabhupada living in his books. So Prabhupada can never die, and eternally he will be there to help us. That's why Prabhupada stressed so much to read his books, so that we all get his personal association through his books. And the moment we start practicing Krishna consciousness very sincerely with devotion, then what will happen is you'll also get association of Prabhupada. You also get association of the Guru. You'll also get association of the Acharyas, the Goswamis, the Panchtattvas. By the mercy of Prabhupada, all these things will be manifested with time. But obviously, we have to follow the process which is given by Prabhupada. And he desperately wanted that all his disciples, they read his books very thoroughly, systematically. Yeah, I think the GVC is, they are asked to celebrate the reading of Prabhupada books from 3rd to 9th September, right? There was some kind of, anyone knows that? So from
Yeah,
3rd to
Prabhuji, there's an
9th.
international Shravanam week or something, right?
Shravanam week, yeah. Where it is, they are emphasizing and they are promoting to read Prabhupada books daily for 1 week. So yeah, so and if you remember, this is something that I had already had predicted in our previous class, that one day will come when, and in fact, they have in their flyer that they have made, they have quoted one Prabhupada, probably they have quoted from his lecture, and Prabhupada says that, if you don't read the books, a time will come when this Hare Krishna movement will be finished. Okay, and yeah, so if you don't read Prabhupada books, that means what will happen over a period of time, the spirit of cooperation will be lost. And as soon as the spirit of cooperation will be gone, there will be factions. As factions, preaching will stop completely. So in order to, because Prabhupada should be the center of all the devotees in ISKCON, and they should also do what Prabhupada wanted them to do. not just focus on sadhana or bhajan, but they should also do what Prabhupada emphasized so much, which is preaching, and preaching or taking some kind of service and responsibility for Krishna, that they must have. If they don't do this, a time will come then where, Prabhupada also said in this Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela Parpat that if devotees don't read my books sufficiently, then a time will come they will just eat, sleep, mate, defend, and fall down. And obviously, when we say Prabhupada is in center, that whatever the way Prabhupada has presented the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's the way we are supposed to accept it. And also understand that he's a current Acharya. He's the most current Acharya. That's why the previous Acharyas, the teachings of Goswami should be seen with the lens of Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Okay, we have to filter it as the way Prabhupada presented things in order to sustain ISKCON for a long time. So this has to be done, and every devotee has to do this. So in order to know what Prabhupada wanted to do for us to do, we have to read Prabhupada books very thoroughly. We should know what Prabhupada wanted from us, right? So that's why Prabhupada's book should be read every day. And Prabhupada is also saying here that I will be present in my books. That means that any devotee, even though Prabhupada is not present, if they read his book sincerely, then they will also realize Prabhupada's presence. And Prabhupada will also guide them, as Prabhupada says, that he will appear in dreams of the devotees. Okay, and he will guide them in the dreams. He will also appear in different forms, different ways. Yeah, and Prabhupada also, he was so compassionate that he praised his disciples. He gave credit to them, and he said that, I'm satisfied with all of you, not like the way what happened with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But all Prabhupada disciples, they have dedicated their lives to serve the mission of Prabhupada, to expand the mission of Prabhupada, and that's how Prabhupada was so pleased with them. So Prabhupada disciples are very special, and they actually also give us association of Prabhupada. They also remind us of Prabhupada more strongly. Just by looking at them, we feel the presence of Prabhupada, right? I mean, probably we have experienced this, many of us. Just by having association of Prabhupada disciple, that's something very special. So, yeah, so these things are important, that Prabhupada will never go away unless and until we ourselves decide not to involve Prabhupada in our life by not reading his books. Then only we dissolve with Prabhupada. Okay, so see, that's why I'm saying now again, the Acharya, the Guru, wants us to read his books. Okay, and so now he has given us a gamut of books. How many books are there? So many books he has given. 80 volumes, right? And Prabhupada also said that Nectar of Devotion, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, or Teaching of Lord Chaitanya, and Srimad Bhagavatam. So these 4 books, if a devotee will read thoroughly, then they will know everything. But the problem is that you cannot remember many things, and you will not be able to understand many things when you read it for the first time. So you have to read the books repeatedly. Okay, so not a single devotee from ISKCON, they should skip reading Prabhupada's books at any point of time in their lives. Even though they may read other books, but they should never stop reading Prabhupada books. And you will also realize this, that whatever Prabhupada information, what he has given us everything, especially the essence of the commentaries of the previous Acharyas. He has said, conveyed in a very beautiful way, in a brief way, but very beautifully he has presented that. And at the same time, you will also realize the significance of what Prabhupada said when you read his books repeatedly. Okay, so now we have to read books, we have to chant 16 rounds. How do we do it? That's why the best thing is to have a balanced approach. Okay, to have a fixed amount of time for sadhana, and then we have a fixed amount of time for serving also. Because without service, what is the use of theory? So have some time of service also, spend good amount of time for service. During Prabhupada's time, the time for service was how many hours? It was like almost 8 to 10 hours a day. I mean, devotee had the morning program, they had chanted the rounds, they had Bhagavatam, they went for book distribution and Sankirtan. And they used to spend almost 10 to 12 hours a day. Okay, and then they used to come in the night and they used to read Krishna book, right? Like that. So one thing is, we can see that whether it is Grihasthas or whether it is sannyasi or brahmacharis, they are supposed to preach and we are supposed to earn Lakshmi and we are supposed to offer it and maintain the other three ashrams. Okay, but the quantity of time that we are spending for service, that is almost the same. The Grihasthas are also working for 8 to 10 hours a day. Okay, and so some Grihasthas who are working less, they can spend more time on doing some other services. So, okay, but sadhana, we are kind of like, so 1 hour of hearing, 1 hour of reading, okay, and 2 hours of chanting. And if you consider the deity worship and sadhana and all, that's another 1 hour. So maybe 5 hours. So 4 to 5 hours, if we can spend every day for sadhana and we have a good amount of seva, then that's a balanced approach. It's a perfect approach. And just by doing this, being Krishna conscious and also understanding for what we are doing, not to gain name and fame. If we remember this principle that we are, no matter what the result is, we continue our service in spite of challenges, obstacles, lot of stress, anxiety, then we definitely can go back to Godhead in this life, or we can attain the perfection in this life. Okay, so this is so important. So these principles are very important, and if you read all these things, then you will understand that bhakti is very deep. It is not external. You can actually, it is not related to quantity. It is more of quality. Okay, so any devotee, they have any question or comment? Okay, so tomorrow we'll have a CC Madhya Lila class. So we'll meet tomorrow. Okay, so let me just stop live streaming.